We Santo, man Kolnyang, Mike, Shol Grangawan, Yupit, Luping Yarul, Pandiri Shet Maniel, Anaketon Niel, Jilo, Winetonadol. I think a kick, Gabuka, Devo, Anyalia, dear Kuika, Pingrin, Gemana, when I jang along, I do Kagaparandi, Madina Majak, Kubo, Makur, Kagaboli, and Kuaita Jam, Wagarade, Kegala, Emmanuel, whenever you go, I think a kick, Gabuka. You pon the loy, you might be you a good meat to meet one. Could I go boy low up and Kayoga rail? I lay you train, it's young as you are the watching money melody. Money, you're going to go by in good, and a ton of banana. Hey, you pay a matona road, Jemana to the lake, joy, be tired calling to buy. Punya you to jogging by Pandeni, Kuchina Wada, I Mali the Train, Jalakabi, Budadi, Kewil Banan, Purago, Boilo, Panan, Kayoga Rail, I lay you train, is young as you wada, who watching money melody. Money, you're going to go by in good, Yenetani Banan. Punya you to jogging by Pandeni, Kuchina Wada, I my little train, Jalakabi, Budadi, Kewil Bana, Aga, Yella Gale, Aga, Payo, Maga, Kajago, Andi Matona Maton, I love Yella Gade, Matona Maton. Aga, Yella Gale, Aga, Yella Payo, Maga, Kajago, Andi Matona Maton, I love Yella Gale, Matona Maton, somewhat watching. Money, money, you're going to go by in good, and let on banana. Hey, you pay a matona road, Jemana to the lake, joy, be tired calling to buy pink. What you put you to jogging by
Okay, welcome everybody. Welcome for those of you turning in social media, in Clubhouse, listening. Welcome everybody. For those of you in Facebook and YouTube and X, welcome to our media, Madit Majak talk show. It's been a while. I have not do a live video, so I've been so busy. Other than that, when we see some of the concern face our country, we will come out. That's where I will come out and speak about it. So for that, says as you guys see what is going on in the border in Kajikaji for a couple of days ago, when the UPDF enter into our border in Kajikaji and kill 4 or 5 or 7 people from SSPDF. This is a condemnable. So I'm not happy about what happened. What is Uganda military are doing to our border? Um, as you guys can see that the Kejikeji area, that area has been a hard spot. Every year, Uganda UPDF attack that area, displaced thousands of civilians. This is the condemnable, and I'm urged the Uganda government to stop doing what they're doing. you know. So what I'm understand that they want to grab more land from South Sudan territory, which is not a good thing. And I made the government of South Sudan to talk about this with their country part of Uganda. This is not good. It is sad to see that uh, your own allies are doing this. They are bullying you. They are taking advantage of you for invading and grabbing a land, displacing people, killing people in the border area. This is not, because I'm seeing that one of the area called Boro, the Uganda want to enact with their country. And as a South Sudanese, we have to stand up. We have to speak out. Hmm? This is not a good sign to see the Uganda are doing this kind of stuff in the border area. And you have seen the son of somebody what he wrote on his X. This is a threat. This is the bully. If you can read that, UPDF is the almighty army in East Africa community. South Sudan must taught a lesson before it opened its mouth. That is a threat. Okay, that is a threat. And I don't know what President Museveni is doing with his son. This is not only, he's been threatening all Africa. That's why I'm asking this question. Will the son of Museveni can be a threat to East Africa community security when it succeed his father? If you can see, if Museveni now retired and said that his son take over, we have seen is likely to happen. So can you imagine if he is a president, what will be happen? Not only South Sudan, those of navies kind of like Congo and any other country across the world like Kenya uh, and Tanzania. So he is bullying these people, and this is not a good time. The East Africa community have to speak out. The East Africa, the person who is in charge of East Africa, the chairman, he need to call out and condemn this statement from the Son Museveni. And also, Son Museveni is the chief of staff of UPDF. And anything that he posts on his X page is always be a threat. And this is a really challenge when we see our South Sudanese in social media came out when this incident happened in the border in Kejikeji. Some of the our South Sudan come out, they divided. You know, even though we have issues in our country, okay, we should when there is a threat coming out from a neighbor's country, we have to unite as one people. Okay, we have to unite it as a one people and then face that threat. So the question that I'm asking you as South Sudanese, do you gotta take advantage of South Sudan for the tribal conflict? What I meant by this is that now the issues that we are divided based our tribal lines, everybody see each other as a enemy, and they are not. And Uganda is taking advantage of that. Like now, I have been listening to the social media. Some of people they were said, "Oh, they're supporting what is happening in Kejikeji." They said that yes, let Uganda take land. It's okay. Let them invade our land. They even call the UPDF as their allies. You see, while they display their own people, thousands of civilians have been displaced as we speak in Kajikaji area and that area across the border. So when something like this happen, we South Sudanese we have to stand up for our people, for our right, for our territory. As you have seen the border, all those 6 countries that in our borders, they grab our land. Triangle, for instance, Kenya took that area. And that's a part of South Sudan. And what is the government of South Sudan is doing? They are silent. While South Sudanese are bushing themselves. And when the enemies come like this, right here, there's nothing that you guys can do. It is a shame to see when our people are divided based on tribal conflict, that's a need to stop. When there is a threat coming out from the foreigners' country, we have to stand as South Sudanese. Let us leave aside our international affair. Let's deal with what those happen. Listen to this video from what is happening in Kajikaji.
Alela kama nuo bada o jibu jeshi tamon ikini arabat o kudu kimalsani kama nini adababa wai o katulu asekar tana chujun ma wildlife majes o katulu kamshanapar. We would also want to encourage the government to quickly engage with the region, the regional government that is now including Moyo Yumbe itself and even Koboko bring those authorities, the 3 RDCs there, plus the state government, so that they calm down the tensions that are growing. Because that very spot where this incident took place, this year alone, I think that is the 4th time. Corre kilanciar tikemat harus dijual di tawali nasi motorin kira jadi cambala la kadi alela motorin de dari pi borina dari pi lugule dari pi simto malu chunyo tani tota kujong tani kama ina geri ma cha taliwolo pi martani sto kubar yala la di alela jala mushwata de maliko yato o jira picha tani oli cha police.
I've been appealing for humanitarian support to support the displaced people that moved away. They've been moved away from their houses. Now most of them, the gardens, the homes and the gardens are within the area of fighting, and they cannot access them now. Running even to get food item in the house is a big problem because the area is militarized, heavily militarized on both sides of the forces. And so possible to cross is a very difficult situation. Now where they run to, they have no food items, they have no shelter, they have no access to medicine and so forth. So they need to be supported with the shelter, food, non-food items, and then medicine. So I would like the national government and the agencies, aid agencies, to really move in and support the IDPs.
Yes, so how you can hear. So you see that is really sad to see, to hear about that issue. So as I said, what is the response to the government of the Republic of South Sudan? on this crisis in the border area. Okay. So Uganda have to stop that harassment, that bullying, to stop grabbing a land from South Sudan territory. Okay. And East Africa community need to come out and condemn the son of Museveni. Okay. South Sudan is a country. And South Sudan is a peaceful, I understand we have international issues, but you cannot threat when South Sudan is facing their own problem and you take advantage by grabbing more land from the border area. That is not acceptable. The international community need to step in to condemn the son of Museveni and also to condemn the Uganda government, and they need to pull out their troop from that area. So now has a crisis, humanitarian crisis in that area. People are going hungry, there's no food, and it's rainy season now. How can you imagine? So I understand war is not a solution, but this thing needs to stop. So today, the civil society, East Africa's president, Imun is a civil society chairman of East Africa Civil Society. So he's responding today to Mr. Museveni's son. Listen to what he said.
Edmond Yakani, Executive Director of SEPO. I would like to take this opportunity to strongly condemn the statement expressed by the Chief of Staff for Ugandan Armed Forces or Ugandan People's Defense Forces, known as UPDF, following the clash where the UPDF attacked South Sudan People's Defense Forces, known as SSPDF, at the area of Bori in Kajukeji County of Central Equatorial State in the Republic of South Sudan, which is not first of its kind. This is more than the 5th time where Ugandans are attacking on South Sudan People's Defense Forces or South Sudan Army at the point of Bori. We know there's a policy direction of intimidating, harassing our citizens in Bori Boma, or it is an interest that Uganda have an interest of annexing Bori to be part of Uganda through these unlawful acts that the Ugandan People Defense Forces repeatedly is doing against our population or against our citizens in East African community. The statement made by the Chief of Staff for Ugandan People's Defense Forces is in violation of the spirit for the establishment of the East African community. No army in East African community is qualified to be described as a mighty army that have the power and the authority to bully, to commit atrocities against citizens of any member state of East African community, or commit human rights violations, and they feel the human rights violations they're committing is lawfully against citizens of East African community. Any atrocities by any member of East African community against citizens of any member of East African community by itself is a violation of the principal foundation for the establishment of the East African community. Therefore, we are calling upon the Chief of Staff for Ugandan People's Defense Forces to withdraw this statement. This statement is challenging the spirit and the foundation of East African community. At the same time, it's a violation to the statement and the interpretation of His Excellency President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni about the importance of East African community, why it has to exist as regional integration is concerned. Regional integration is meant to promote citizens' integration, not violence integration. So what UPDF have done against the citizens of South Sudan completely is a violation of the foundation, as I repeat myself, and the principles of the establishment of East African community. So we strongly condemn it, and we demand His Excellency President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni to ensure that his Chief of Staff of Ugandan Defense Forces withdraw this statement. This statement is a violation. Otherwise, at my capacity, also as a sitting president of East African Civil Society Organization Forums, we will raise these to be questioned at the level of East African community through our members to East African Legislative Assembly, or EALA. And I'm appealing to South Sudan members of East African Legislative Assembly to question the attitudes and the behaviors of the Chief of Staff of Ugandan People's Defense Forces towards South Sudan. South Sudan have the right of self-defense. You may undermine us today, but if we stand up and say enough is enough, let's face an external enemy. You know in history who we are as South Sudanese. Of course, as civil society activists, we promote dialogue, we promote non-violence for resolving any discontented political position. But we can't be undermined and we can't be humiliated by external forces under the pretext that we are East African community. No, East African community was not established for citizens and army of another member state to marginalize and commit atrocities against members of other states. We strongly condemn that, and I hope that the Secretary General of East African Community and the current sitting chair of East African Community should react to this statement made by the Chief of Staff of Ugandan People's Defense Forces. It's a statement that deserves strong condemnation, not tolerance. And we can't tolerate that. That needs to be strongly condemned. And Muhoozi have to withdraw that statement as a Chief of Staff of Ugandan People's Defense Forces. It is undermining the spirit of East Africa. It's disappointing, it's disgusting, and it's a position of someone who does not care about peace and stability in the region. South Sudan will never be a country that you will undermine like what you have undermined other member states of East African community. We will stand up for our rights and we will defend our land. And of course, peace and stability is our common objective of why we join East African community. We are not pro-violence, we are pro-peace, but peace shouldn't be on the expenses of atrocities against our own citizens. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Absolutely. I 100% agree with him, Yakani. He's right. He's absolutely right. Because we are not, South Sudan is known. Okay, Uganda cannot take advantage of South Sudan when we're having an issue with our own and they think that South Sudan is weak. It's not weak. South Sudan has been known. We fought 21 years of civil war. Add 17 years of Nyanyawan war. We fought with Jalaba. We didn't fight with the Jalaba alone. We fought with the Jalaba with the rest of Arab continent countries supporting the Arab in the north. Okay, so Uganda is no right, okay, to threat, okay, to threat our people, our sovereignty, to go ahead and grab the land from our territory. That is not acceptable. And I'm calling all the South Sudanese people, all the support tribe, to put your different aside, please, and put your country above all of these differences. If you guys have, put your nation above everything, your greatness, anything, put your nation above. This is the time. I remember when South Sudanese were united, fighting with the Jalaba for one voice, for one common goal. That's why we got independent of the Republic of South Sudan today. So the Uganda, the son of Lm-Ssem need to be condemned, calling not even East African community, we are calling East African community condemned. We're calling his own father, President Lm-Ssem, to condemn his own son. We're calling all African Union to condemn. So son of Lm-Ssem cannot threat the people of South Sudan by taking our territory. That is not acceptable. And we are calling, I'm calling all these citizens in the border area to stand up for your own right. Do not be arrested, do not be devastated, do not be bullying because somebody wants to take your own place, your own area. That is, you can died for it. That's why we fought for it for all these 21 years. 2.5 million died because of our land. We need our right. And the Ugandans know that very well. Even though Uganda is allied for South Sudan, do not take that the goodness of South Sudanese for granted. This statement from the son of Ssem is harmful and does not be left that easily. We have to condemn this kind of remark from the son of Ssem. This is not what the East Africa community stands for. The East Africa community, they came together so that they can face the threat. What insecurity each country in East Africa face insecurity, they will. And I have seen the agreement between the South Sudan and Uganda. That agreement. But son of Ssem cannot go around and violate that agreement by threatening, killing the SSPDF and grabbing more land and displaying the civilian in the border area in Kajikaji. That is not acceptable. And we urge the Uganda government to stop harassing the civilian in the border area around there, whether from Mungali or in Kajikaji. Even I received some of the news today that the people of Uganda were arrested South Sudanese who are staying in Uganda. I understand that there were thousands of South Sudanese who are refugees in Uganda. Yeah. So we understand that the Ugandans who are living in South Sudan. Okay. These two countries are a sister country. I understand that. Okay. The culture, the economy, they united these two countries together. But the leadership, the leader of Uganda cannot take that advantage by threatening and killing the SPDF and grabbing more territory from the South Sudan. That is not a stop. That needs to stop. And the government of South Sudan needs to stand up for their right. Silence of the government of South Sudan is unacceptable from this crisis. You have to stand up. You have to call President Ssem. They need to stop doing what they are doing. UPDF need to return back to their territory and leave South Sudan border alone. So thank you. That is what my message today for that. Welcome, Peter and Akol and Attack. Peter, what are your reaction about this? You can open your mic.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate it. So let Brother Akol go, and then I will come after him because I'm still doing something.
Yeah. I'm in the store here. Just let Brother Attack. You can take the mic if you're there. Just in 5 minutes, I will just be in position to talk. Yeah.
Okay, Attack, you can go ahead.
Madit and Peter and Akol and the audience. I greet you all. I think the situation is not doing too good, to be honest, as you mentioned. I think Uganda, for us as Australians, we think that Uganda is one of our close allies. A lot of investments, come to South Sudan, like, goods and stuff like that come from Uganda. That they will not do something like this. And but I think, we are not really thinking it right, because I think the investment Uganda has in South Sudan is not that much. It's also private investments as well. So I think there is a lot of interest that Uganda wants from South Sudan. You look at the fact that they were in Eastern DRC, and now with Donald Trump, with the deal that he did with Congo, because Congo realized that it was an unwinnable war, because Rwanda and Uganda, they were pretty much winning. And they were capturing more towns. So DRC went to Trump and basically, gave them a huge percentage of the concessions in the in the critical minerals. So that is going to have a massive hole for Uganda because they have been living a lot of income from those resources that belong to DRC. So I think they're trying to replace the resources that they get from DRC.
Magog, I can put Magog, man. I will put the link down if you can press the link and join me.
Uganda is businesses. Your country businesses.
That's the link that I put it down. You can go ahead and click that and come up.
Is that the best you can do? Right? I don't think so. I think Uganda want more, and I think resources is one aspect of it. And I think if they realize that, or if they see that the government of South Sudan cannot respond militarily, I think they will push more into South Sudan territory. And I think the ideal situation for Uganda is actually to bring down the government of Self-Care. That's the ideal situation, because if they bring down the government of Self-Care, they can put a puppet government in, right? And now they have more resources, right? They will be able to dictate, a lot of things within South Sudan and in terms of especially resources and revenue for them. That is better than saying, our businesses are exporting to South Sudan, okay? But if you can control, similar to what Turkey did in Syria, if you guys remember, I think it was early this year or last year. So I think that is really what the one Uganda I see them trying to do. I think President Kiir, is going to be betrayal by Museveni. And I don't know why President Kiir doesn't realize that. I think last year when the military chief said, or the military spokesperson, he said that, they are aware of the encroachment, but this requires a political decision. And that political decision, President Kiir is the only person who can make that political decision. And clearly, had President Kiir made that political decision last year, I don't think these South Sudanese 4 or 5 South Sudanese soldiers would not have been killed. So I think there's going to be a lot more pressure on President Kiir to try to actually deploy. The best scenario, and I think the most possible scenario is the government of South Sudan is going to have to deploy troops into this area. And because if it doesn't deploy troops, I think a lot of credibility are lost. And I think this could actually create more land grab by neighboring countries, because they'll see your country as weak. Because now you need to establish the deterrent as a country. And you also need to increase the cost-benefit analysis or calculation that Uganda does. Because if Uganda does the calculation that, hey, if we deploy troops, the government of South Sudan is not going to respond. The benefit is the land resources. Okay, the cost is not there. The cost is the loss of life, right? The cost is confrontation at the border. But if they don't see the cost, right, then they will make that decision. Because the reward is much greater. So I do think that the government of South Sudan, I think they're going to respond. I know people, don't think that they will respond, that our government is weak and this and this, and people say, oh, you don't have this and this, our economy has collapsed and all this stuff, and all those things are true. But this is a big issue, much bigger than even what's going on internally. And so I think the things that are going internally are going to have to either, die down. And I also do think that there is an issue, because South Sudan government is not, has not been trying hard enough to get the army embargo removed. That's an issue. They are concerned about the neighboring countries. Like, for example, when the UN was meeting to renew the sanction of South Sudan army embargo, that was the time when Bolmel went and he went to I think it was Congo or DRC, to go and talk about, because they had regional meetings about the issue in DRC, the regional security. But how can we talk about regional security when our own security is not even intact, when we are already in armed embargo? So I think there is no rush in the government of South Sudan to get armed embargo lifted. And I think the relationship between President Kiir and Museveni, I think is not wise at the moment, Otherwise, I think it will be disastrous if the government of South Sudan doesn't respond. And because what is to stop them from actually continuing into other churches? Because when this thing happened, they actually expanded into four areas. So if there is no resistance, why not just take over South Sudan? Why not just take over Juba? Why not just march and take over the country? And that gives Uganda government an empire, actually, right? Not just they're ruling over Uganda, but they will be ruling over South Sudan as well. So I do think that South Sudan government would be forced to respond to this. So that's really my thought. I know it's unlikely right now. It looks like it's not going to happen, but I think it will happen in my analysis. Because if it doesn't happen, then I think it could lead to the government of South Sudan collapsing completely. So that's why I think it will happen, and I think also it will rally the country as well, right? It will rally the country around the government, especially at this time when the country economically is collapsing, and the country is being sued internationally or taken to court by creditors, investors. So that's my thought. And the son is regarding his son, I think his son has issues for sure. But I think this is why, as a country, you need to have strong military. And we have been focused on diplomacy, but diplomacy doesn't work, to be honest. You need weapons. You need troops to be able to fight your neighboring countries if they, try to take the territory. And, setting up high-level committees. They set up high-level committees last year when this thing happened. So that did not work. It didn't go anywhere. So I think the strategy has to change.
Blackie.
Okay.
So back to you guys. I don't know, someone came in here. No.
Never mind. I remove him from the room. Thank you. Thank you, Attack. So thank you. Before I go to the next speaker, let me bring in one of the first joining in the studio. Bird Boy, Peter, welcome. How are you? You can open your mic.
Yes, thank you very much.
Hang on, Peter. I have someone in the studio with me. Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, good evening, everyone. Thank you very much. I think you can hear me clearly.
Yeah, you are clear.
Okay, I'm Bure, and I just joined the conversation, and I've just heard from the speaker that has spoken to us. Yeah, I really don't know what's going on in East Africa as a whole, but actually, such kind of statements and speeches shouldn't really come up like that in East Africa as a whole. We are not really interested in such kind of speeches coming from commanders, especially in East Africa, because the target is to grow the whole economy of all the East African countries. But now, if we come up with such kind of interactions, and especially now Uganda and South Sudan, these are two countries that are actually together, like the brothers and sisters, as one of our speakers just said. There are thousands of Ugandans who are here, and there are thousands of South Sudanese who are also in Uganda. Now, we cannot just continue to have such kind of fights when we are actually into each country. So I can just say this is something that is so sensitive. It should really be seen as an urgent issue, and we need the intervention of the particular people who can be able to really handle this, because maybe in grassroots there, if you go right now, let's say in South Sudan, right now people are hearing and they can easily be moved, they can easily be scared, which is really what we don't need completely. This is what we don't need, because business is coming, most of them, maybe some are even here, they're trying to raise our children. Let me give example, maybe with the teachers. But now, if such kind of things come in, then it is going to affect let me say in the development wise. So we will not grow. Instead, we will always go backwards. So statements like the one that the general has just put is really what I really don't think shouldn't be coming up like this. But anyway, otherwise we just continue to pray for our country so that we will always fight such kind of criminal minds. I can say I will not be able to hide this. This is what we don't need in South Sudan. And as a country, as it's a country, South Sudan is a country of its own. So we also have our military. What if now we come as a country and also say we're going to fight? Then it will not have any meaning. So I like what Edmond Akam has just been giving us. It's a very strong speech, and we will continue to follow that. I really appreciate that so much. Otherwise, thank you very much. I am here to follow, and we shall always continue to advocate for peace. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Boris. Thank you, brother, for joining us in this important show regarding about incident going on between two countries. Yeah, you are right, because East Africa is a region that if we come together and not bring all of this negative what Son 70 wrote, so that is a negative it's a very negative for East Africa to deal with. We don't need that kind of language. Those so because we are tied for culture, economy, all of this, our people are one. Uganda and South Sudan are one. They have that. So even though all of this kind of negative need to be stopped, and these leaders, whether Uganda's leaders and South Sudan need to come up with the solution of this, so that they cannot the Uganda have to respect the territory of South Sudan. Okay. So thank you for joining us. So Peter, you can go ahead. Majak, let me know if you have a chance. I know you are busy. Yeah, go ahead.
Is that guy Ugandan or a South Sudanese, brother Madit?
Can you answer that, boy? Somebody asking you, are you a South Sudanese or Ugandan?
Yes, thank you very much. Yes, I'm a Ugandan.
Thank you. I appreciate that. So thank you. That's a kind of response of answer for that. So because we are one people, then what you respond, you are Ugandan. That's a good thing. But we are one people, regardless of partner. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, Peter.
I think, brother, first of all, I would like to apologize for interrupting earlier, because I think the other guest is Peter and my name is Peter, so I thought you were calling on me.
No, you're good. You're okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, because I would start with where, what you said before. Your call is really, what do you call it, applauded. The East African need to condemn what Uganda is doing. The African Union need to do so. However, before East Africa and what do you call it, and AU condemn Uganda for what they're doing now in South Sudan, the responsibility of doing so falls on the government of South Sudan. And if the government of South Sudan is silent, there's no need for East African to condemn such a move, because you start first. What do you call the big, what do you call it, the countries that are being attacked, which is South Sudan, should condemn it first, and then land the complaint to East Africa and to IGAD, because what do you call it, Pennsylvania is part of IGAD and part of East Africa and part of AU too. So without South Sudan doing that, I don't think, what do you call it, they will take on their own to condemn it. And also to some point of what you call brother attack stated in regard to what has what you call it, speculation why he thinks Uganda is doing this. agree with some of it, but some of it I don't agree because, especially in regard to the critical minerals, I don't think Uganda has what they call a mean and technology to extract critical minerals because in order to extract it, you need to explore it. Exploration of critical minerals needs what they call technology. Extraction and processing needs technology, and I think Uganda, the country in Africa, lacks such technology for exploration, extraction, and processing of the critical minerals. So I don't think it's because of the critical minerals that they use, they lost in Congo, and now they try to extract it from South Sudan. That being said, however, it is a concerning what Uganda is doing in South Sudan, and I think there's two reasons behind it. I might be wrong, but like in my humble opinion, there's two reasons behind it. Either like what they call it, we know that like Central Equatoria and Western Equatoria full with minerals, natural resources, with what they call it, trees. We heard a couple of years ago there was what do you call it, a business of cutting trees that's going on in that area, and most of these trees go to Rwanda as part of it. And by the way, that's like a general reasonable amount of what you call of income. Or what they call it, Uganda has some stable one from South Sudan and using military incursion to South Sudan as a pressure South Sudan to give into it. And that in itself is concerning. That means like what they call it, if that's the case, that means whatever like the talk behind the scene between South Sudan and Uganda has failed. And usually a country resort to a military means, as we saw in the case of Uganda, as a means of pressure, what they call it, the government. So I think that might be a reason. Another reason too, let us not forget how Uganda is connected to the Western countries, especially the US. And one example I could recall in 2015, if I'm not mistaken, when there was an election in Uganda where the opposition was beaten. I think that was during Obama administration. Obama administration was about to take a measure against Museveni. But the deep state here, in form of the Pentagon, intervened and says that Uganda is a strategic partner in East Africa. And what they call it, making move against, especially the President Museveni, that will not serve the interest of the US. The reason I'm bringing that up is because we know that like the relationship between South Sudan and the US in recent years, through three different administrations, or let us say two administrations, before Obama, during the Obama era, and then during the Trump first term, and during the Biden term, and now it's Obama again. Now it's Trump again. Has not improved, and the same problem persisted through different administrations. And we know that, like here in the U.S., the foreign policy is being what they call it, drafted and engineered by the institution of the state. So my worry in this regard is that like this could be what they call it, U.S. sending a signal to South Sudan, because we know through the history, if a country, what they call it, is at odds with U.S. and U.S. want to pressure it, especially in Africa, they will talk to the neighboring countries, and then the neighboring country will put pressure into the regime, to the existing regime. I'm not saying that's the case. I hope that's not the case, because as we know, there's a talk between our country and our two sister countries. Because I consider both of them as our countries. As someone who lives in the U.S. and as someone who is a U.S. citizen, would love like these two countries to have a good relationship. So I hope that like the dialogue behind the scenes is going well, and I hope that's not the case. But however, that could be the case. You never know. But however, that being said, however, as I said before, in any country, when a country runs into the civil war as our country, the regional countries around it will intervene negatively or positively, negatively to destabilize the situation more, or positively to act as a, what do you call it, as stabilizing forces if that, what do you call it, serve their interest. Meaning, if like a country sees that intervening in the internal affairs of the country that's experienced civil war will serve his interest or her interest, they will do so. They will even try to destabilize the situation more. And if they think that like the intervening to stabilize the situation in that country will help, what do you call it, advance their national interest, they will do so. So that could be a thing too, given that the South Sudan now, like we have been in the civil war since 2013, and as they said, a divided house does not stand. And whenever, like, we are not exception in this any country that is a prolonged civil war, what they call that will give the other to have, what they call it, to have a hidden agenda against that country. So the first thing we need to do as a South Sudanese is to put our house in order. Because when you put your house in order and you have peace and harmony, the other countries around you, even though they have like what you call it, agenda toward you, or like they want like what they call to take advantage of you, they will like what they call they will find it difficult for them to do so because they know that the country is united. And usually, yes, sometimes even though a country is at war, the internal aggression usually like what they call it is rally people and behind the government and bring them together. I don't think that would be the case in South Sudan, as we have seen in the media. In fact, some even like some of them they could even be gladly put their hand with the Uganda forces. If that's the case, like what they call it, to put even pressure on South Sudan. But I don't think so. As I said before, Uganda has the means and capacity to control South Sudan. Because like to have a full-out war with another country and to invade it need the resources, financial resources, and also like a constant military supply. And I don't think when the economy, what they call it, will support a long-term, what they call it, a long-term war in South Sudan. Because if we want to decide to do so, there will be resistance. Because the country to invade another country that would energize the people and to put up even more resistance. We saw that throughout Africa or even in Asia, even with a big country like US. Afghanistan is an example, Iraq is an example, this is an example, Vietnam before is an example, and you could name. So it's difficult. For a country like Rwanda with the economy that they have, what do you call it, to invade South Sudan. So I don't think that is resisted here. But they could work with like what do you call it, the rebel group to destabilize the situation even more and more. And that being said, I'm sorry for prolonging, but the last point I would like to say regarding to the son of Mr. It has been reckless, what do you call it, engaged in reckless acts. South Sudan is not the first country for him to trash. We saw like before it created tension, unnecessary tension between Uganda and Kenya, and also with Sudan. And even though keep in mind, if you compare Kenya and Uganda, Kenya economy is even like what they call it, 2.5 more times bigger than Uganda, because Uganda GDP is around, if I'm not mistaken, around 70, 65. Of that of Kenya is around what they call it, 130, 140 billion. So economical wise, Kenya is much, what they call it, stronger than Uganda, and also their army is not that weak compared to Uganda, or even weaker than Uganda. I don't think so that's the case. Nonetheless, they threaten the Kenya, and it's just like what they call it, Uganda will invade Kenya, and that will take them one day. So I think Pakistan is taking some kind of controlled substance, that's like what they call it, make him run, go to the what they call it, the Twitter or social media and run against other countries. I'm sorry that for prolonging. I switched out over here.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Peter. So yeah, thank you for your input. Majok, are you there? Okay, if Majok is there, let me know, Majok, if you are available. So let's move to a call. Call, are you there? Okay. So if a call is not there, let me move to Mwana. Moin.
Yeah, thank you, brother Madit. This is Manny.
Yeah, Manny, welcome.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, it's a good discussion, and I like the way Peter responds to that Uganda, and the Ugandan guy is also a nice guy. Talk of peace. Always when you talk of peace, it's a good thing. War does not solve anything. So destruction and chaos and setback. So yeah, it is, Madid, without sugarcoating, it is very unfortunate our country is compromised. And you see, when a country places itself in such a situation, you open up yourself to be exploited, And for one country to exploit another country, it has been there in human history. Like Peter was saying, countries are like big fish and small fish, They prey on each other. It's been there in human history. Invasion happened, colonization, and forceful takeover. It's been there. That's why it is very important you organize yourself and build a military and defend your sovereign territory. And for us, Uganda really knows fully well that we are very, very compromised, weak. Our leaders wanted them for even on how to manage our own self. Our own internal security is deeply run by Uganda. We've seen how many times Salva go for peace consultation, bringing foreign troops, the Uganda troops into South Sudanese. Majority of them could be spies. They know in and out our weakness, our strength. So all that is something is our own making. We put ourselves in that position. Nobody, we had acted right, build a country, have a strong peace, more united. Uganda would never dare do that. Even during our wartime, nobody moved an inch to our territory. It's not just only Uganda invading South Sudan. Ethiopia has done it on the other side of Bachala. They crossed the river Gilo. And also the same thing has happened to Kenya. They want to take us. These are the places we grew up at Jeshamet. We know our borders. Even at the time we were fighting, nobody dared try to to invade those places. But because we have a leader that is so weak, couldn't even imagine, has no plan for a day, let alone other taking on just with the Sudan that is now suffering. He has no any strategy for a day. And Salva Kiir is known throughout our history of struggle. He hates complex issues, difficult issues. His always strategy is to sit it out, to say silent. All that silence you see people is because of his instructions. The man controls the internal security. People are afraid because he doesn't want this. He will never fight a border war. That's just a given. If people of South Sudan are realistically aware and knows fully well how weak and strong their leader, Salva Kiir is not a man that can fight a border war. That's just a fact. There's no way he could fight Uganda, you know. So his best strategy is let Uganda take whatever it can and keep quiet. Don't talk about it. We've seen that with the Abyei issue. How many now? How many years? You know, Abyei would love something to be solved within a year or two after independence. Up to now, the strategy just sit it out, keep quiet, you know. And since you control the apparatus, the military, I've seen our own military. When I was in Juba last year, I used to travel. I've seen it. We don't have a military that can fight an international war, a border war. We simply don't, you know. So the best strategy, like our brother was saying, East Africa has a strong institutional judicial system. We can appeal with the backing of acting international, including the Great British, that really demarcated our borders. The only option is to go through legal system, you know. But what happened already is a declaration of war. Once you do something like that, if you have a strong military, the response would have been swift and decisive, you know. But because we know we can't fight the war with Uganda, the best option is to just keep quiet, seek peaceful means, resolve East African cause, just lay down with the Great British system. Thank God it's the one that colonized that region, so they know when they left, they know where each border of every country stands, and that's the only best option. Should you choose to go, how do you go to war with you fighting yourself internally? You know, we cannot. We've been fighting ourselves now for how many years? You know, so it's very impossible. Also, our food, our energy system, the oil has passed through Uganda. So if we go to war, Uganda will shut that down. Our tank will not run, or our military, hospital, everything will be shut down. If we use Kenya to Juba, that route between Kapoita is impossible. There are certain vehicles that can go. Not every other car can pass through that. It's the muddy, especially rainy season, nothing can reach, you know. And also Kenya will see through too, and they can also take Netherlands. And then Sudan is in chaos. So where do we go to find means to fight? You know, we have nowhere. So, and it's our own making, you know. If we had built a refinery, we can secure our oil. We are capable, you know, to fight any country among our neighbors. We are warriors. You know, we are united. We believe in the cause. We can fight like the way we took on Sudan, you know. But because we have a bad, weak leader, we can't win. It's just no way, you know. We're staring at the problem we know too much, and the leader doesn't even believe in it, let alone going for war. So that keeping quiet is inconsistent with the way Salva Kiir manages the stuff. He hates complex things, you know, unless another leader comes. We've seen that with Abiy. He's incapable of even saying a thing about Abiy. And how many years? 20 years. Abiy is our territory, our people. You know? So for a country to, fight something, you need a strong leader that has momentum, power behind his word, and strategic skill, expert leadership. But our president doesn't have that. He's so good at just controlling, micromanaging his own people with the security, with the insecurity issues now. It's so hard. Juba alone is a tough place. Only managed to control Juba, but everywhere, including his own state, it's chaos. We are not in a position to take on any foreign war. The fact that the Ugandan are even with them inside, it doesn't happen. It doesn't happen for you to have a foreign country military in your own city that is also invading your country at the same time. How do you explain that? Why are Ugandan forces are inside Juba while they're encroaching into our territory? And the man has terrorized his people. People can't speak. If any leader now in Juba, you will be in prison, tortured, thrown into the Nile. If you speak up about why the Ugandan are inside Juba, and yet they are also taking our land, what's the deal? Yeah. So such things, the position we are in is horrible. Our leader is always just good at attacking his own people. But here is those of you those who claim that a constitutional president is this. Yes, you have a war now at your door.
Okay.
When people say President Kiir is not a president material, his time is gone. Let's look for another person.
Okay.
People always say, oh, this and that and that. Now you have a war brought to you, and nothing you can do about it.
Yes, Brother Madit, later on I'll be ready when you pass the line.
Yeah, so this is what we've been telling you. We don't have a leader. We don't have a leader. So with that said, Brother Madit, I rest my case. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Majak, are you there? Are you ready? Okay. So if Majak is not ready, let's go back. Call, you can go ahead. Yeah.
Okay.
Do you have something to say?
No, I wanted to ask Manny, what happens if Uganda doesn't stop in Kodikoji and they continue? At what point does the government also don't have to respond?
So, guys, those of you in club, please join us in Clubhouse for more discussion. So we can continue doing that.
No answer.
Continue with the topic. Thank you, guys. So we'll see you guys soon. Thank you.
We can fight, but we will be at a disadvantage. It will be a losing war. So they can go as much as they want, but if we take